Hey folks, welcome back. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and like you, I've been playing that Eurobeat remix of the Time Cruisers theme really loud lately. So loud, in fact, that my neighbors called the Space Police on me. As reparations for the damage I've caused to the space-time continuum by creating that remix, they've issued me a citation that says that I must talk about a Space Police set in a video this summer. I've elected to cover 6957 Solar Snooper today. First off, I'd like to thank the LEGO group for sending me a copy of this set to review on... I'm just kidding. This is an old set. Belonging to 1992's Space Police theme, the Solar Snooper is a futuristic, 12-wheeled support vehicle that can serve a variety of roles, including prisoner transportation. But before we go much further, there's something I want to talk about right up front because it will come up later if I don't. Are the Space Police really the heroes of this story? Well, if we only go by LEGO's material on the matter, I think the answer is unequivocally yes. However, I think there's some fun to be had with exploring a darker and arguably more true-to-life version of this narrative. Nuance is a powerful force for world building, even if it has to take the form of headcanon here. That being said, I'm not going to be projecting this perspective onto these sets today. It's abundantly clear that the LEGO group did not intend for Space Police to be interpreted with this lens. And unlike Orient Expedition, which is explicitly tied to real-world cultures and overtly primed for making these connections, Space Police is firmly fictional. In the LEGO universe, the Space Police are canonically the good guys. And if we need to enter into the world of fiction for that to be true and acceptable for everyone watching, so be it. I think there are many healthy discussions to be had about the role that police forces play in our society, but the wrong place to have those discussions is in the comment section of a video about the Solar Snooper, okay? Getting back to it, 1992 was an important year for LEGO Space. For one thing, this was the first year to feature more advanced face printing beyond the traditional smiley faces of previous themes, and the Space Police Force were the agents to usher in this change. Each officer in the Space Police is rocking the same cut. Reddish-brown hair and eyebrows paired with an earpiece and headset microphone for rapid communication between members. Their torso prints also clearly spell out who they're working for in a so dorky it's kind of endearing way. Though this wasn't the first time we had seen a police force within LEGO Space, it was the first time that they had received torso prints unique to the theme. For as cool as the blue, black, and red ships and vehicles of 1989's original wave of Space Police were, the minifigures were sadly just reheated leftovers from previous years with minimal deviation. As a result, I feel that this original series lacked a cohesive identity and remained attached at the hip to Futuron, the theme that it borrowed these designs from. Some might find that codependence to be a positive trait, but I am not one of those people. After this came the Space Police from 1992 that we're largely discussing today. Fans often dub this theme Space Police 2, but officially it's just Space Police 2. These sets are identified by their red, black, green, and gray exteriors, as well as their less aggressive demeanor. I don't think a single vehicle bears any armaments here, certainly not to the extent of the previous theme. You might look at these red pylons on each side of the Solar Snooper's cockpit and assume that they're laser cannons of some sort, and I'm sure many kids did too, but I'm not quite convinced that was the intention. If we look inside the cockpit, the computer display shows us satellite telemetry. I think that these are actually signal boosters to allow the vehicle to pick up surveillance data from orbit. I interpret the thin red antennae found on several vehicles to relate to long-range communication between vessels, and the thicker red antennae to relate to satellite coverage. This seems to be supported by ships like the Rebel Hunter still receiving this satellite telemetry despite only being equipped with the thicker red antennae and not the thin ones. In fact, within Space Police, this computer design is only found within vessels equipped with these nose-mounted pylons. Anyways, it's a theory at least. As you've probably come to notice already, there's a great deal of uniformity in Space Police 2, and I think that's one of its defining strengths. Something that I wish could be found more in its contemporary space themes. Several systems, like the cockpits we were just examining, were designed one way, and this interchangeability adds believability to their existence within the setting. Of course the Space Police would represent uniformity, it's just satisfying to see this reflected in the toys as well. The central play feature that the theme revolves around also embodies this philosophy well. A concept lifted directly from 1989's Space Police, the solitary isolation prisoner pod makes its return here. While a terrifying concept to think about for too long, it's highly effective at what it seeks to do. Simply pop a minifigure inside and lock them up. Perhaps a bit of a visual downgrade from its 1989 counterpart, with the jail bars just being printed on now, I think I still prefer the design of the 1992 update. The squarish proportions are more prisoner pod to me, and less space coffin. Also, the older design was a little fiddly with those individual jail bars. Additionally, the updated design features a new way for the larger sets to interact with the pods. It has to do with these arch pieces along the side, but we'll come back to the specifics later. For now, just know that the prisoner pod design is identical in every set that features them, meaning that the entire theme is cross-compatible within itself. Blacktron longs for this amount of internal synergy. I guess that's why they keep losing. After Space Police 2, the theme would lay dormant for another 17 years before returning one last time in 2009. This Space Police, predictably dubbed Space Police 3 by the fans, is certainly the most different of the bunch, featuring a seedy alien criminal underbelly as the antagonists. For as much as I enjoy the diverse alien designs from this generation of Space Police, I've gotta say that the police officers all wearing outfits a little too similar to modern day riot gear rubs me the wrong way. No, I think I'll stick with my Space Police 2, thank you very much. Here, the police chief just looks like he's gonna remind me not to travel Warp 7 in a Warp 5 zone or something like that. I don't see a lot of folks praise this generation of Space Police online, but I'll stick my neck out for it. I think it features a lot of great builds, a memorable and recognizable color scheme, and strikes the right balance between camp and cool. Plus, it has the Solar Snooper, and speaking of which, it's about time we got to the set. The Solar Snooper is made up of two sections, the drive section and the trailer section. A pair of Space Police officers man the drive section of the vehicle, with one operating the motor controls in the raised canopy, and the other monitoring the satellite uplink down below. The layered windscreens in this formation are as satisfying as they look. It's simply one of the best cockpit designs in all of LEGO space, just sublime. Behind them, a Blacktron operative stews away in their prisoner pod. A pair of hinged apparatuses hold the pod in place, using the cavity created by those arch bricks I mentioned earlier. This pod ain't going nowhere, at least until the Space Police say it is. That's where the trailer section comes into play. Resting atop the flatbed is a twin-seater spacecraft, ready for action. Once parked, our two officers can take to the sky in the suborbital craft. I'm such a sucker for twin-seater ships like this. I don't know what it is. Blacktron has got one too, and I simply go nuts for it. I love how the officers here have to lean back and operate the controls located beside them, while also having to remain in constant communication with each other in order to work together. It's so uniquely unergonomic that it can't help but be memorable. The profile on this thing is also right up my alley. Utilitarian, unsleek, yet still locking in the uniformity that the theme represents, this little vessel is a real strength of the set, and we haven't even got to the best part yet. The whole ship can stretch apart like a slinky, revealing the built-in play feature. When landing above a prisoner pod, the craft aligns itself with the corners and centers the pod. Then, with a single squeeze, we've locked on and can take off with the pod in tow. This interaction is ingeniously achieved by pushing the protruding sections of the hinge bricks making up the frame of the craft into the gaps of the prisoner pod itself, again created by those arch pieces from earlier. Hopefully you're as blown away by this as I am, because I'm truly at a loss for words here. I think we often have a conception that advanced building techniques require snot construction or modern pieces, but I don't know, you tell me. This seems pretty advanced to me. If you're worried about the ship flopping around too much, I understand your concerns. It doesn't bother me, but if it bothers you, a pair of the relatively new Part 71752 can be attached to the underside of the joints and lock them in place. Really, anything with a 1x2 or 2x2 footprint will suffice, but I like these as they add a bit of sci-fi texture and are easily removable. With the suborbital craft in flight, we can now get a better view of the trailer section beneath it. There isn't a whole lot going on here, but this protruding 6061 brick is noteworthy. Weirdly enough, it was quite common within the Space Police theme, but never appeared anywhere else in the light gray color. Here, it only serves to help situate the transport craft, but it's also used within the drive section to mount these twin engines, perfect grip points for human hands to navigate the Snooper around. In another example of a brilliant design, these modified plate elements surrounding the trailer hookup prevent the driver from turning too sharply and jackknifing the wheels into each other. Additionally, if you happen to have more prisoner pods handy, they can be mounted on the trailer section and hauled around that way, no modifications necessary. I'm gonna be real with you. I think this is one of the best sets to come out of LEGO Space in the 90s. It's certainly my choice for the set to get from Space Police, that's for sure. When I first built it a couple of years ago, I remember thinking to myself, where has this been my whole life? Everything that this silly Snooper attempts to achieve, it does so with flying colors. Let's just quickly compare it to its peers, and I'll show you what I mean. Partially a victim to that amazing internal synergy I was talking about earlier, the Solar Snooper basically makes the Rebel Hunter irrelevant. The twin-seater craft it carries around can perform the same job, and I'd actually argue that it does it better. The Technic rails necessary for the Rebel Hunter to maintain its structural integrity are not needed with the Solar Snooper, and this leads to less friction and a more satisfying play experience, in my opinion. I don't like writing off the Rebel Hunter completely though, so let's say that it's needed for deep space investigations or long-range prisoner deliveries, whereas the Solar Snooper deals with short-range transportation and local disputes. The Solar Snooper also has the iconic double cockpit design of the Galactic Mediator, but actually does it better by giving the second officer a set of controls and a place to sit, both of which the Mediator lacks. Additionally, the Solar Snooper doesn't feature the more questionable connections present on the Mediator. Every play system found here is hardy and intuitive. On the Mediator, I often find myself picking at random plates, trying to remember where the access points are. It's big, but unrefined. The Solar Snooper just does more with less. And through the power of buying two of them, I'd like to present to you the Super Snooper. This one vehicle convoy is really something, and was honestly quite easy to achieve with only minor modifications. That's not all you can do with these pieces, however. The back of the box is littered with glorious, glorious alternate builds. The one I want to tackle today is located in the top left, a 10-wheeled, dual cockpit behemoth of a vehicle. I used backoftheboxbuilds.com to help me construct it, and if you're ever looking for resources for older alternate builds like this one, then this website is for you. Oftentimes, it features user-submitted step-by-step instructions like these here, but I should warn you that every time I've used them, I've spotted errors in the builds, and this occasion was no exception. You really need to treat them more like guidelines than anything else. They very much feel like they follow a close enough is close enough mindset. That being said, I really appreciate the folks who go out of their way to do something like this. A set of decent but flawed instructions can be better than no instructions at all. In the case of this 10-wheeler, I've made some amendments that led to improved structural integrity and accuracy to the source material. At first glance, and especially from low angles, this alternate build looks totally rad. Seeing so many medium-sized space wheels aligned like this is really satisfying to me. The Space Police officers have plenty of room inside their canopies to operate the vehicle in tandem with each other. Teamwork makes the dream work. The rear section is where things get wild. The sheer number of rocket boosters on the back give me the impression that this is a high-speed pursuit vehicle. As for this ring of transgreen windows, well, your guess is as good as mine. Is it linked to the engine somehow? An anti-grav unit? Police lights? Let me know what you think. Overall, this alternate build pairs nicely with the Space Police fleet and fills a niche not yet satisfied. Would I recommend it over the Solar Snooper? Absolutely not, but it does offer us another fun way to play with the pieces included within. And that's the Solar Snooper, everyone. Hopefully I've done an adequate job of showcasing this wonderful set today, as well as sing the praises of this generation of Space Police in general. I think it's a great LEGO Space sub-theme, and the Solar Snooper represents the very best that it has to offer. Thanks for watching, everyone. This video was brought to you by the folks who support me during the Summer of Slug, especially those subscribed to my Only Slugs tier. Folks like Air Zero, who was helping me to complete my collection of LEGO Rock Raiders mini-comics. Those are hard to find in North America. X-Eron, who I'm definitely glad corrected me on the pronunciation of their name because I definitely would have gotten it wrong. Initar, who has been rocking this username for over 20 years. Not even RR Slugger can make that claim. Silencio, who through our conversations indicated that I might be one of the first people to say this username out loud. Silencio, Silencio, Silencio! Misty Moonglow, who was telling me all about this amazing flavor of ice cream that they have out in Nova Scotia. If I'm ever out that way, I'll seek it out. Axel, who, just like the character from Rock Raiders, proves that there's no limit to the number of ways you can spell that name. The Raging Typist, who is always surprising me with their brilliant 90s space mocks and inventive photography. Silly Pink Dino, who, as far as I can tell, is always in a good mood. I love your positive energy. Menson24, who has produced some really artistic LEGO Space brick films. I suggest checking them out. Brickman McStuds, who has a name even cooler than Biker Bob's. I'd love to see this one on a driver's license. Spyrus, and you'd better believe that their favorite set is from LEGO Spyrius. Hopefully the Space Police isn't giving you too much trouble. Lastly, a 2.7 V6 2008 Chrysler Sebring Convertible Limited. Let's just pull up a picture real quick. Huh, yeah, that actually is a pretty cool car. These folks and many more deserve our thanks. If you would like to get involved supporting the Summer of Slug, the links are down below. Thanks everyone. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and I'll see you next time for another video.